Beautiful. Well, thank you to everybody that is joining us today. It is a brisk fall day here in the community. No matter where you're at, hopefully you're enjoying some of this fall. I think it might be the opposite for our guest here today because Lenita is our guest. She's tuning in all the way from Australia, right? And it's currently 3 o'clock in the morning where she's at. So we want to appreciate her for being here. And that's just a reminder for everybody that's joining us, right? You can come screens on, screens off. You can join us live or you can listen to this later. But if you are missing the live, you're missing an opportunity to connect with awesome people and be part of a conversation and really connection, right? Community is all about connection. So I'm very excited about today. Thank you to everybody that is participating. And thank you to Lenita about joining us and just being part of our community. Lenita, one of the things that we always do before we get started is have everybody that's on the call introduce themselves so that you know who's here to support you and committed to be part of this. And then they can feel committed to being part of the community and embraced, right? Because this is what it's all about. It's conversation. So yeah, I'll start the dance. My name's Adam Griggs. I am your moderator today. I'm the co-founder of a software company called CLARAfi. And I am absolutely excited about today's conversation and this final quarter of the year. There's just a lot of energy growing and I'm appreciative of it. So thank you to everybody that's joining us. I'm going to turn it over to Elena with the GoDaddy team.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elena. I am in Austin, Texas. So it is only 11 a.m. here. I cannot believe it's the middle of the night for you. That's insane. I am on Team GoDaddy and I work on events, virtual events, and in our community, kind of engaging with all of you. And I am super excited to meet you and get to know what you have to say.
Thanks, Elena. Jonathan, let's have you introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. Lindsay, welcome. My name is Jonathan. I'm also on the GoDaddy team. I work mostly focusing on our social media presence and building out engagement strategies for them. It's always a joy to get together and you know, Lenita, you said it earlier, like people just crave community, and to have this happen on such a consistent basis is so cool. And I thought I knew at one point and totally forgot that you were coming to us from Australia. My mind was completely blown. I can't wait to watch this recording over where you just see my face crack. I can't believe it. So thank you so much for taking the time of night to be with us and to share all that you have. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's send it over to Michelle.
Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Michelle, LAJM Financial, and I help people plant their money trees. And as my colleagues and friends now know, that is very important to me. Is a passion to help other people thrive during a time such as now. This is kind of what I live for, to help people get through this, because everything has gone up. I was looking at my own information, just last night, and I mean, everything doesn't matter, but that's basically who I am. And I am excited to meet you, Lori, and thank you so much for joining us this hour.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Michelle. Lindsay, let's have you introduce yourself.
Hello. I am Lindsay from Waymaker. We help companies to dream big and then take action, which starts with, we have a weekly planning session on Fridays so that we can get our ish together. And I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
Very exciting. And I am excited to be part of your journey tomorrow, Lindsay. I really appreciate the community and I appreciate the GoDaddy team for doing what they do, right? Jonathan used the word engagement, and that's what community is. It's engagement. It's having fun and growing together. And these meetups are so important to me. I feel that there's just such a variety of speakers that have come on, and there's a passion and there's inspiration. And inspiration is kind of the theme we're going with today. And that's, I'm going to let you introduce yourself, Lenita, because you are an inspiration to so many. We are connected because you have inspired members of our community. So why don't you give us a little bit of, the high level? Who is Lenita and what do you do?
Thank you so much. So good to be here, team. Honestly, like, you guys are saying thank you for like the hour that you're here. I'm excited. This really excites me. The fact that what we're doing here, I guess, is reaching, new corners of the world too. So My name is Lenita Abouchabake, and yes, my last name's very long, so you might have been probably thinking, how do I pronounce that as well too? I am the founder of Teen Coach Academy. So what we do simply is we train life coaches who coach teenagers. So we're in the life coaching space, but our clients are actually the kids. And it's a very interesting, I guess, dynamic we're setting up. We coach the teenagers, but then we also work with the parents. And so we have a couple of clients that we work with at the same time. So that's my niche. We work with teenagers, and as a former high school teacher myself, I've been in the industry for coming up to 15 years now, and love working with children. But you know, I was trying to, I started to entertain what life could look like outside of the teaching space, and that's kind of how I got to where I'm at now, evolving a life coaching company for teenagers, which is really cool.
I love that. First of all, thank you for what you do, because talking to people that are growing into themselves and discovering their identity, that's the future, right? That is early on in the stages of development and what they want to do with their lives. And it's more than that. It's creating this abundancy, this environment of awareness and possibilities. And you've used the word, fascination, right? Fascination with what you do, because you're a teacher at heart. You started as a teacher, right? And then that evolved into becoming a coach, and then kind of went full circle back into teaching others to do what you do. And it all comes from this power of discovery. So share with us a little bit about your journey. What took you from teacher to coach, and wanting to work in an environment where most people are actually kind of afraid, or they feel like hold back, right? Teenagers, the scary thing.
Yeah, we're definitely the crazy ones. Like we still get told, or I know I do. It's like, why you want to work with kids? Like, why would you put yourself through that pain? For lack of better words. But yeah, we definitely welcome that with open arms. And as a high school teacher, I just started to explore different options. I ticked all the boxes. I was the perfect product of the education system. Good kid, good grades. Worked very hard for my grades. Went to university. Became the first person in my family to go to university. And so I was ticking all these boxes, thinking I was doing what I would, what thought was right. And then I got my teaching job, and, very, very early on in my teaching career, it was a big wake-up call. I started to think to myself, is this what I've signed up for? I got very burnt out very early on. Laugh about it now, went through a quarter life crisis, started questioning what I was doing. And so I actually started to explore and go on that, I guess, journey of exploration for myself, personal development, and which was interesting because I was actually a PE teacher, and personal development was my thing. It was my jam, teaching kids going through PE. And so I just decided to put myself out there. Teaching was great, and I loved working with kids. But then I decided after university, after a few years in teaching, to actually come to America. And I worked on summer camps with children in America. And that was a beautiful experience. So on those camps, I was exposed to a whole different side of working with the teens, mental health, leadership, resilience. And you just see the kids from a different lens as well too. And then come back home, went straight back into my teaching job. But, nothing really changed. I was kind of just back conformed into a system that I didn't necessarily aligned with. And I noticed that what children were learning in the classroom wasn't necessarily what they were learning or applying in everyday life. And summer camp just brought that up for me too. And so just by getting curious and going through my own personal growth journey, I fell into the life coaching space. And I realized that this was a beautiful industry and it was booming, but there weren't any life coaches for teenagers. And I thought, wow, like what if I could bring in the best of both worlds? What if I could learn life coaching, but then use my expertise as a teacher and mesh two worlds into one? And clarity just came with action. So I just started to entertain it, trust myself along the way, get curious once again. And somehow it just naturally came together. I had people just asking me, can you take my kids under your wing? And, applying a lot of the coaching frameworks into the classroom. And then one day a parent outside of school, because I was never allowed to coach kids in my classroom. There was a conflict of interest there. So one day a parent asked me at my local church, because I was mentoring and supporting a lot of the kids in the local community. she just asked me, Lenita, you know, I know you do coaching. I'm just curious, how much do you charge for coaching? And I didn't know what to say. I was just doing it for free. You know, I didn't even think it was a thing back then until the parent asked me. And so that's when the light bulb moment went off for me. And I thought, wow, like, I think I'm up to something here, to just to fuse two worlds into one. And slowly over the years, I just started to adapt life coaching to teenagers based on my experience as a teenager and of course as a teacher, and then stack on top of that with my coach trainings as well too, which is cool.
Yeah, I love the process of discovery there, because you allowed yourself the space to really be curious about opportunities that were kind of outside of what you felt was your norm, right? That system that you were placed in, and that curiosity led to inspiration. And I think that that's a thing that a lot of us kind of shy away from time to time, because we know that it's something that's right there, but it's just out of reach, or we second guess ourselves. And that inspiration is really what drove you to develop yourself into this powerhouse as coach, this leadership person, this, you know, joining us at 3 a.m. You've got energy and you're sharing your evolution into business, but you're more than that, right? It's business is messy and coaching is messy, and understanding people's lives, especially at the teenage level, is messy. And so I commend you for doing that and chasing that dream and setting up your own real business, your own real impact on the world. But you're going beyond that, right? So talk to us a little bit about what you're doing now to help others kind of follow in your footsteps and learn the possibilities, the inspirations that are ahead of them.
Yeah, awesome. I love this. We definitely we're supporting the coaches. You know, we're training the coaches and from foundational levels up. You know, how to coach teenagers, understanding teenagers most importantly. You know, and backing it up with the evidence. It's one thing to get along with a child and have great rapport, and that's definitely important. We always want to make sure we have a solid relationship built with the teenagers, but then also understanding why are we teaching them certain things and why are we giving them particular frameworks, and helping our coaches understand the evidence behind it. So we're very fortunate to have curriculum coaches who do research and help me out with that too, just so we can understand teenagers. You know, in particular, the teenage brain, like that's a big component we work on, and just understanding the brain and how it develops, it helps us understand all of those concerning behaviors that parents come to us with. It's stemming from their emotions, it's stemming from their brain, it's stemming from their health. And so, you know, that's what we're really helping our coaches understand. Because in the beginning, I even knew as a high school teacher, we were just thrown into a curriculum. We also didn't really understand the teenagers at that scientific level. So we're going back to basics there. And then, of course, from a business standpoint, marketing and sales, I've monetized my free Facebook platform, and I've grown that over to 7 figures. And no fancy marketing, no paid ads, no fancy website. You know, it's all organic. And I've grown that over the last 7 to 8 years. And it was the same profile I had when I was a high school teacher. So I've just evolved that over time. And I've just documented my journey, and I train our coaches through the business and marketing space as well, which is very specific for parents and teenagers, very niche specific. And so there's a couple of worlds we play together with the coaching and the marketing. And one of my favorite pieces is helping them build this new identity as a coach, as a teen coach, and handling the imposter. Because as you grow and you build business, it's never going to outgrow who you are as a person. And so I'm always, although I'm a business coach, I think 99% of the time I'm their life coach, because I'm really helping them handle the imposter, build this new identity, work and regulate their own emotions so they can support the families that they're supporting at the same time too. So that's kind of what we do in a nutshell. A holistic approach, in other words, very holistic in what we provide.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, because on a high level, you did tell us like, hey, there are systems, there are things that we have in place that we want to teach these kids, and we want to teach the coaches how to do it. But anybody can be handed, you know, a workbook or a worksheet and run through something that they feel like is a task that'll get them somewhere, but not knowing why. Well, it usually falls short. And generally, that's one of the reasons why there's a definitive difference, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, between those that are in the throes of trying to make the business work and those that are finding success just lining up in front of them. And I think obviously we know that that's the case for you, because Nicole, who's going to be joining us in December and sharing her story, she's one of your coaches, and you really impacted her and taken her from finding her own identity and creating this beautiful inspirational story that she's got unfolding before her, to where she's at now, which is just excited, energized, and successful. And I'm not gonna say any more about Nicole, because I'm gonna leave that on the future. So guys, tune in for that, because it's gonna be fun. But you've created this environment through community, and I think a lot of it leads back to your experience running these groups, these camps, these communities, right? Even though they were in the environment of schooling, you saw that there was more of an emotional connection and an opportunity to be, connected and discovering and curious and really fascinated by each other's journey. And I think that speaks very highly about what you are doing, what you're bringing to the table. And I thank you for that. So talk to us about what do people do right now as far as obstacles and opportunities? How are you in the now sharing some of your obstacles and opportunities? Are you waiting until you've overcome them and you're just telling people how you did it? Or are you sharing in the now and allowing them to kind of give you some perspective?
Yeah, that's a great question. I guess it depends on the person, right? So I'm definitely a vulnerable leader in our space. So I'm very open and honest about my journey, because my clients are my mirror. And so what's showing up in them is most likely what's showing up in me, maybe recently or in the past. So I really do try to document my journey in an artful way, where I'm showcasing, this level of resilience, tenacity, grit, because that's what's going to help us in terms of building a long-term sustainable business. Business is not always easy. It's not always pretty online. So I don't ever want people to just look at the highlight reel, because that's sometimes what we kind of are guilty of. We compare our mess and our obstacles to someone else's highlight reel, and that can be quite discouraging on our mental health. And our teen coaches are no different. My belief system is we are never above the teenagers. We are never different to the kids. We go through our own emotional journey, and I'm so open about addressing those topics, because I address them within myself as well too. So as a leader, Adam, I document that. I share those stories each week in our Zoom rooms. I start off with a story of the week. So that's one prime example on what's worked, what hasn't worked, what did I learn, how are we moving forward? And we always thrive off the belief system that it's never failure, it's just simply feedback. And that alone has helped myself, that alone has helped our teen coaches bounce back from those obstacles as well. They're just really good at taking everything now as feedback. It's never about failure anymore to us as well too, which is amazing. And then they share that with the kids too.
I'm so glad that you said it that way. It's not failure, it's feedback. When you're part of a community that you can feel that you belong to and you can trust in the journey, you open yourself up. And you mentioned that it depends on the person, but you're a vulnerable leader. It really does depend on the person on whether or not the connection goes a little deeper, right? I really appreciate you for sharing your stories in the now and the obstacles that are ahead of you, because that does justice for the community. They see that, yeah, business is hard. Yeah, there's things I have to overcome. It's not just like what you said, a highlight reel of the great times, but knowing when and where to dive a little deeper. That's the impact. That's where you understand where you're in a community, right? You've got different players, different needs, and different connections, and it's okay. That's what I love about community. It's okay. And I want to thank you for that, because really overcoming things like imposter syndrome, you mentioned that, this identity crisis, or guilt in balancing life and business, or even mindset, right? Mindset for so many of us is such a trying thing. And we need that accountability partner or that awareness partner, people that are showing us that you're also showing up in life and doing the work. And it's not just coming to you because of XYZ, right? And I love that, because you're leading by example. You're providing them some clarity and some understanding, and you're giving them the ability to feel empowered, right? Because they're in the throes of business with you.
Yeah, definitely. And I think as well too, for a lot of the time, and I see this a lot in our life coaches, they're the strong friend. They're the strong person in their family. They're the go-to. They're the ones that their family are falling on, and they're rarely being asked, are you okay? That's often the case. And so I understand that very well now. more than ever in business that our community is more than a business program. You know, it's more than what they're purchasing on the front end. It's this way of life. It's this family. It's this community. And when they're needing something, they can fall on us, because I want them to be mum at home. I don't want them to be life coach at home. You know, and I say this to Nicole, I guess, all the time. You know, I want them to go home and be dad. I don't want them to feel like they have to speak about business in their home, unless the couple work together in the business too. That might be a little bit different. But at the end of the day, like, just go home and be mum or be dad. You have a life outside of your business too. And it's hard because you attach your whole identity to your movement. And that can be quite detrimental, because, you know, one of the biggest goals for a business owner is to build it, exit, and sell. Like, to be fair, like, that is one of the biggest milestones in business. And so we don't want to just attach our identity to our work, because some of us are parents, some of us are aunties, you know, the cousins, and have other hobbies in life too. So who are we outside of business as well? We want to bring that more into what we're doing here in our community. And just be real and raw and honest about that, because that's also going to feed our marketing and what we do, you know, like on the front end as well too, in our niche.
Yeah, you're in such a defined niche that's like both exciting and scary. And I'm impressed by the fact that you've gone right into this, because like Lindsay said right there, it's what the world needs. You know, it's fun to watch somebody like you have energy and positivity and excitement, knowing that you're dealing with something that the world has really turned into a cliche, right? Teenagers are always troublesome. They're always this storm of identity crisis. And really, that's not so true, because the rest of us are just putting up Facebook posts looking happy and pretty all the time, but we're also in the same throes and the same problems. We're experiencing life and business, and going home and understanding that it's okay to be a person at home and not have to talk about business, especially now, right? This digital hybrid world where we're reaching through the screen. I appreciate you for saying that. You know, one of the things that one of my mentors taught me when I first started was exactly what you're doing, Lenita, which is documenting. He sat me down probably the first couple of weeks, and he said, you need to just document everything you're doing along the way. And it's for you, yes, so that you can know that you've written it down. You can go home and be a person. But at the end of the day, when life gets difficult again, after you've had a successful run, it's a reminder that things worked once upon a time when they weren't too easy. And you can teach yourself to be successful again. And I think there's so much power in that. You know, number one, you are documenting your journey, which is, it's exciting and allows you, like I said, to detach and go home. But if you ever find this inspiration to be a leader like you, to found a community, to drive a change in a specific niche, you can do that. And you've got all of this information and all these great stories. And it's not just the highlight reel. It's the highs, it's the lows, it's the do's, it's the don'ts, right?
Yeah, and I love that, because it's such a great way to support each other. It's to be the change. And you know, I never expect something from my coaches that I don't do or I don't own within myself. Like, I'm always wanting to lead the way and be in it with them. You know, that's congruence, in my opinion. Be in it with them, do it with them. You don't necessarily have to achieve it first and then coach. And you know, that whole imposter is, oh, like, I must be perfect before I coach. It's just be in it with them. You know, keep promises to yourself, try your best, and showcase that, and just be in it with your clients. So when my coaches don't put their hand up for help, for example, like, I know when they're on red. We have like a traffic light system in our community. Are you on red? Things are stopped. Are you on green? Things are good. Orange is slowing down. And so when they're on red, I'm like, where were you when you were on orange? You know, you came to me on red and I got your back, and I'm going to help you. But where were you when you were on orange? I want you to put your hand up, you know, because we can't expect the teenagers to reach out and ask for help if we keep showing up, or if we just keep hiding, because we're going to attract that in our clients. So yeah, we definitely want to just encourage our clients to lead the way and be congruent, be the change. And yeah, and just, you know, whatever you're expecting in your clients, make sure you own that within yourself too, because they're going to model you. They won't remember what you're saying, but they're going to watch how you show up, you know. And from a you know, I come from a youth ministry background. So when we're speaking about faith-based, for example, we say you're most likely the only Bible that a lot of teenagers are going to be reading on the daily. They're going to be watching you and your actions, and they'll call BS when they see it. They might not tell you, but they'll call it. So we really want to help our coaches just model what change looks like for them and take care of their personal lives. In my opinion, is way more important than the program that I've built, you know, and it's there for them and they've invested, but my core purpose here is to help them become a better person as a result of our program. And so their health is priority for longevity, their spirituality, how they show up with their clients, because their business will grow as a result of that. You know, coming back to your business will never outperform who you are and how you think as an owner too. Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful. And we're getting a round of applause here, by the way. There's a lot of similarities in your style of business here. The community members like Lindsay, they appreciate the traffic light and use that. I love that you said, be the change. And then you also led into being part of that, right? Because being part of the journey for your clients and your coaches, your community, is such an important thing. You know, stories are only good if you have good characters. Everybody that surrounds you is part of that character development. And really, if you're finding yourself growing as a person, your characters around you are going to align with that and rise up, or they're going to fall short and disappear, and that's fine. But you are allowing not just these teenagers to really step up and embrace what could be their moment, their impact, their new responsibility, right? Rise to the occasion, but you're also out in the throes of development and you're meeting with your clients one-on-one. I mean, you just got back from a trip to the States, right? Where you actually went out and met some of your coaches so that you could have that connection and you could be part of their journey. Share with us a little bit about that. How was that for you?
Yeah, that was amazing. And it was something that's, you know, I guess it was very intentional. We organized a meetup in New York City, and I just put it out there. You know, I said, "Hey team, I'm going to put on an event for you guys. We're going to hire out a room." And we basically had a planning day for our VIPs, and then we met up with everyone else in the community too at a really beautiful location in New York City. And that was beautiful for us, you know, because community is the new currency in business. And I know they come to me for results, but I know they're going to stay for community. I just know that. I'm a product of that in other programs. I go in for results, but why do I stay? I stay because of the connections that are being built too. So we hung out in New York. It was nice to meet everyone in person, because we've been hanging out on Zoom for, I guess, the last couple of years. So it was nice to really just to hug people in person too. And it really helped what we're trying to build here, you know, and our community here. And everyone else after that event, they just started to show up more powerfully, Adam. I don't know what it was. Maybe they trust me more because they're like, "Oh my gosh, Lenita, you exist. You're not just in the Zoomiverse as well too." But it's the level of trust between each other now is just on a whole new level. And I'm just proud of the fact that I invest a lot in my community. I give more than I take. As a leader, I make sure that whatever we're doing, is it going to build community or is it going to tarnish? And I always just go off that question. You know, if it builds community, let's put it in. It's an investment. And so I just gifted them with that experience with no expectation in return. And it's just made a big difference, because I just know where I want to be in the next 10 to 20 years. And I'm not playing the 12-month game. I'm playing the decade game. And so community is necessary for that as well too. So yeah, I just spoiled them. I love them. I invest in my community a lot, and I know that's gonna help long term.
Thank you for that. Your energy and your smiles are just translating to the excitement that came off of that. You know, you said community is the new currency, and you're not wrong at all. And that's on all levels. That is for small business owners and their employees. If you have a tight community, they might work with you longer than they would have for somebody else for a little bit more pay. And other people that you're reaching through the screen, the ability to embrace and have connections, even though we've never met, right? I haven't met any of you in person yet on this call, but I feel connected to everybody that's here because of the challenges and the conversations and the camaraderie that we've shared. And I really appreciate you for that. But there's one more thing you did there, which was you went and you had intention to try to bring a little bit more value, a little bit more humanity into that. And nobody asked you to do it. You literally went out and said, "I'm going to create this meetup. I'm going to give my community this opportunity to embrace one another in real time," right? IRL. And it worked. And there was no other reason for it other than you respected them that much that you wanted to get out there and see them face to face, to let them know that you are there for them. You are a real person. And I appreciate you for that, because like I said, Nicole was just over the moon about that.
Yeah, thank you so much. And it means so much to me, I guess, as much as it does for our clients as well too. And it's something that I think maybe is still rare. It's the little things that make a big difference. It's the spontaneity. It's the little things we do to build community and culture. And from our standpoint and what we do in like an online business mastermind program, it's those voice texts. It's like that one-off message I'll send to our members, and I'll go in with a voice message, and it's just a nice touch. Or it's that letter that we send home, we mail out to their household, or if they're not feeling well, or is it a birthday gift? Or a lot of our members that like to crew for our live events, we send out some gift packages as a thank you to them too. And one of my favorite pieces is we allow them to invite their family and friends to our events. So some of our teen coaches bring their own teenagers in. Some of our teen coaches bring their own children in as interns in their business as well too, which is amazing. So we want to build this family culture. And when their kids, for example, have birthdays, like we want to recognize their anniversaries, their birthdays, Christmas, if they come from a different religion, we want to acknowledge and honor their holidays too. So it's just these little things that we want to bring into our movement that make such a big difference. And I'm just very fortunate. We have a great community, very loving, giving, genuine community. And it just comes from those little things that we prioritize, which is amazing.
Little things can make a major impact for sure, especially when they're thoughtful and intentional. It's very exciting that you flew across the world from Australia to New York City to meet your clients. It's exciting to get a letter in the mail that's handwritten, right? Because we don't get that very often. I think Lindsay's doing that this week. There's a lot of things happening that are just little things that we can do in our communities to show that we're that much more appreciative, right? Because gratitude goes a long way. But we're also connected. We're still human. We're still part of the story that's unfolding before us. And at the end of the year, things might change, things might shift, and being aware of what your community needs and just allowing them to be present with you and evolve as things continue to change, that's powerful. That's powerful. So Lenita, thank you for sharing that. And thank you for sharing your journey. You went from teacher to coach, from coach to teacher, and you were just an inspiration to us here and obviously to your community that you're building. And I just want to appreciate you for that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
It means the world.
This has been a great conversation, because I think one of the things that we've really wanted to hone in on in this final quarter of the year is the fact that there's still time to be inspired. There's still opportunity to determine what your identity is going to be next year, and that you're not really held back. You've got so many people that are here to support you and build, and your story today, your awareness and allowing others to be part of that, it's been so powerful. And I think that it's going to just ripple into the world and create more changes and more positivity. So thank you for that. Lenita, one of the things we like to do at the end of all of our sessions is we kind of open it up. We want everybody to be part of this conversation. So we open it for questions, comments, kudos, anything that's out there. So I will just give you a kudos for sure, because everything you're doing has just been beautiful and positive. And again, 3 o'clock in the morning. Thank you so much for being here with us. Lord, I
thank you so much.
I want some of that energy. I got to get on the Australian coffee wagon, I think.
Our coffee's good. But thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it looks like Jonathan's got his hand up.
Thank you so much. I echo everything that Adam said. It's always so nice to get to hear from incredible individuals like yourself, and I love the way that you explain so many things too. It's so great to know that we're going to repost this video, and anyone watching it, you could almost listen to it like a podcast, and it's just I was such a fan of this discussion, and there were a couple of things that you said that I wrote down because they just totally jumped out to me. The part where we were initially talking about how this, and I think this is interesting because this is an insight with a lot of people, is that they kind of stumble into their business, right? They have a passion, they do a thing, and then the idea of it being a business is presented to them. And, when you mentioned that clarity came with action, I wrote that down. That was one of those little nuggets that I think I'm going to hold on to for a long time. I think that's something that's so important to remember with big things and small things. Like whether you're trying to launch a business, or whether you even have this idea of like, oh, maybe this is something that I could do. The idea of just doing it. I think that's something that's so scary a lot of times, but to hear from you, to know that that clarity came from action, and the only way that it came was because you took action, I think helps to alleviate a lot of that fear. It gives a lot of incentive to just kind of go for it, which I think is so incredible, and it can be applied to so many different parts of your life. I also loved when you said that they won't remember when you were talking about working with teens, they won't remember what you're saying, but they will remember how you're doing it, how you're showing up. And forgive me if I butcher the actual quote that you said. But we see that on social media. That's one of those cornerstones of what I see every single day is if it's one thing to put up a post. It's another thing to try and explain yourself. It's another thing to really show up in the space, right? If you have a business, or you launch an Instagram page, it's one of my main things that I tell people all the time. If you're going to launch an Instagram page, you have to be present on that Instagram page. Right? Because if you're just going to put up a post, it might be a really, really great post. But if it's only the one thing you've posted for 2 weeks, I might not feel as confident in you as like a business owner, because I'm like, okay, well, they didn't, they launched this and they didn't follow through with this, or I don't know how available they are, or I don't, they say that, they're running small and they're, they love to connect with their customers. But if this is the message you're sending on your platform, right, you might build a little bit of a disconnect with people. And I think that's another thing that it really does it. It applies to so many different parts of your life. And then I'll stop. And I wrote so much down, but I will
love this.
Stop myself. I will stop. The color system. I love the color system. Something that I've learned this past year is how important that language is, to be able to say, a lot of people, especially teens, or my experience has been with learning a lot about how children communicate in this past year with a lot that's been going on in my life. But just knowing that sometimes it's very difficult for a teenager, as someone who hasn't been a teenager in quite some time, have a teenager say, I'm going to, elaborate on what I'm dealing with, versus just saying, keep that to yourself. Just give me a color. Right? You don't need to dive deep into this. If you don't have the words for it, if you're embarrassed, if whatever it might be, just give me a color, right? Providing that access to people and giving them the permission to kind of hold on to, some of those emotions, especially when you're a teenager, I think is such a brilliant move. And it's a very gentle way to go about, working with people. And I just loved it. And then the last thing I wanted to ask is, where were you in New York? Where were you?
Oh, I was in Manhattan, and then we were
Yes.
hanging out in Times Square.
Oh, wow.
So most of the time, that's where we were. Yeah, we were hanging out there, and we just, we hired out a place, and then we went to, I think, D. Irving on Hudson. That's where we hired out.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we hired out that place. Yeah, it was beautiful.
Gosh,
My
so good. Did you
the
get
photos don't do it justice.
It's wild. Have you ever been to New York before? Was that your first time?
I have. It was my second time, but I love New York. So we ate some dinner at Lily as well. So it was a beautiful.
Oh, you did the whole
restaurant.
thing. Oh, you did the whole thing.
We did with the whole weekend we mapped out a few activities for our clients, and so I love New York. Oh my goodness.
I do too. Even I've lived here for 10 years, and I'll get off the train sometimes and I'm like, it's all new. It's fabulous. It's fabulous. Anyway.
I love that. Loved your shares. Really amazing. Thank you.
Great. No, it's all from you. I really, really loved this discussion.
Amazing.
Thank you, Lenita.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Yes, I just got asked to do a talk on the West Coast, and so it would be like 11 o'clock, and I was just like, I don't know that I can, but now
you can.
Being a wuss.
It's all in the lighting, team. Just get your lighting.
So sunny there. I just wanted to say really quick that I love that you didn't just stop at coaching teens. You started figuring out how do we create a ripple effect in the world. I was just talking to people today about how there are so many layers to the problems that our kids have and the problems that we're having in school, and it seems that everyone kind of blames. They find something to point a finger at, but it doesn't fix anything. It just makes somebody feel bad. And like, you know, maybe it's the sheriff's office, or it's the court system, or it's the schools, or it's the parents or something. And to me, as I thought about it, it was really that emotional intelligence is low, and effective communication is not high on anyone's priorities. And if we could just, you know, tell people, like, teach people how to use their words and express themselves and identify and understand what they need, and then say it, it would really change the world. So I almost cried several times during what you said, and I just wanted to say it makes a big, it's what I needed to hear. So
big love. Appreciate you, Lindsay. Yeah, thank you so much. I guess on that note, I guess quickly, Adam, I just wanted to share, like, from our angle, we work privately with families, and, you know, we don't fight the school system. I think it's a big thing that the system is built in a particular way, and it won't change. It will be tweaked along the way. It has been tweaked over the years, but I think the reality that we need to accept is the system is the way it is, and we really want to help privately in the homes, you know, like the parenting and the teenagers and their connection, because the school has a place. Don't get me wrong. We don't want to replace schools, and we don't want to replace teachers. There is a place for teachers in the world. And so we just want to come back to what's happening in the home. A lot of the time it's stemming from the home. So coaching really brings that back to parent ownership, teenage ownership, and then they can leverage school for additional success as well too. You know, putting too much pressure on the teachers, it's unfair most of the time as well, speaking from a former school teacher. Yeah,
thank you for that. And Lindsay, I've got to echo you on your comments there. You know, a lot of us, we have this habit of playing chess with our lives, and we think that we're in control of all the pieces, but we forget often that the pieces are other people, and they have hearts, minds, and movements all their own, right? So sometimes the pieces go their own way, and we need to learn to really meet them where they are and have some emotional intelligence and understand that they're not part of the chess game. They're part of life. They're part of our story, and it's okay. And there's something else that you said there, and Lenita, I think you embody this entirely. One of the quotes I like to live by is, I can't do all the good in the world, but the world needs all the good that I can do. And I think that that's powerful, especially since you're creating a community of people that are growing and embracing and challenging new ways of overcoming and sharing and really leading this niche environment. And hopefully it trickles upward, and we take it, you know, take heed, take example. We've got so many great leaders in the world and in this community specifically, but your story today has really challenged us to be more aware of that.
Yeah, appreciate that. It's and I think as well, it's coming down to, you know, it does come back to identity. And I think, Jonathan, you had mentioned too, like with taking action and building a business. And, you know, when we have stories around business or we have stories around money, you know, I like to think of it that, you know, I don't have a money problem. I have an identity problem. You know, I don't have a business problem. I have an identity problem. Maybe it's like this fear of control. I'm a control freak. I don't want to delegate yet. That will come down to identity as well. So that whatever's stuck in the way of taking action, there's an identity that we need to break through, whatever that might look like as well too. So it's been a big lesson for myself and our team. And we really love to, you know, the whole 10x your business, 10x your life. Like, I'm sure maybe we've heard that before too. And so one of my mentors told me, you know, if you want to 10x your business, we need to 20x your life. And so personal mastery is of high importance. And that's probably one of the greatest ROIs that our teenagers, our parents, our coaches walk away through is the person they evolve into. Because I'm pretty sure I won't be the only coach they invest in. Well, I hope not anyway. I hope they continue to invest in themselves.
Yeah, being a person is a powerful thing when you know that you have the ability to continue to grow at any point in life. And, you know, and that's one of the reasons why we do these meetups. We put it out there every time. You can come if you're a startup, a scale up, an exit, wherever you're at in life, because you never know when the story that you're going to hear is going to impact you or impact those around you. And it's that awareness, that camaraderie, that ability to know that it's okay to grow in your own light, in your own way. That's powerful. So thank you for sharing with us today, Lenita. I know that it's getting close to 4 a.m. there for you. So if you're okay with it, we can close this on out, and I can let you get back to to either take a
Yeah.
nap or getting the day started.
Get my day started, I guess. Yeah, I'm feeling the energy, so I don't know if I'm going to sleep now. So, but it's amazing to be here, Adam. I appreciate your team for holding space. Yeah, very thankful.
Yeah, thank you for that. And for everybody else on this call or anybody that's listening, remember, we check in the third Thursday of each month. Next week is check-ins where we can just share and be real. So show up and have fun. Otherwise, you guys have a fantastic weekend and be safe out there.
Thanks so much, guys. Nice to meet you. Take care.